At the finals of the Grand Chess Tour, Aronian and Magnus Carlsen faced each other in the third place playoff. Well, we've already seen how Magnus Carlsen won one of the classical games. They then drew a game, so they then went into the rapid and blitz phase of their match. And I'd like to show you part of one of their rapid games, in fact the first rapid game that they played. So we joined the game after 30 moves, Aronian with the white pieces, Carlsen with black, and Carlsen is in control here. At the moment material is even, but Carlsen has a beautiful pass pawn here, supported by the knight and the queen. He also controls the centre, he has more space because of these pawns, and his pieces stand very well. So now Carlsen exploited his space advantage with e4. If pawn takes pawn, of course, rook takes bishop, so that d-pawn is pinned. White's queen is attacked. So what should Aronian do here? Now he is in big trouble. What's his best chance? Well, he played the unlikely looking queen e3. It looks very strange to my eyes to tread on the toes of the bishop, but he's got a nice idea in mind. So Carlsen wants to take this pawn. So first of all, he's got to knock out the knight here. So he played bishop takes knight. Fair enough. And after bishop takes bishop, Carlsen grabbed his pawn. So now he's a pawn up. Well, we can see Aronian's idea. He switched the queen over to a7. Now, the knight is attacked. The king is just a little bit exposed. That's what happens when you advance your f-pawn. Of course, these pawns look pretty good, but white's queen is just getting in behind a little bit. So first of all, what should black do about the knight on a5? It's attacked. It would be nice to put the knight back on c6, attacking the queen. But then queen a6 hits the loose knight and the loose rook. No, can't do that. So Carlsen played the knight in c4. Still, everything looks absolutely fine. But now it's quite tricky. And Aronian plays a really daring move now. Remember, it's rapid play, so the players haven't got that long to think about their moves. He now sacrificed with rook takes knight. Now we'll look at that in a second. In fact, he missed a really good chance here, although what he played is also very interesting. But he could have played queen c7. Now I'd like to go into some detail here in this position, because there are some fascinating possibilities. So first of all, the knight is attacked. Well, let's put it back to e5, which looks superb, centralizing the knight. And now this incredible move, rook takes pawn, giving up a whole rook. This is remarkable stuff. Of course, I'm not suggesting that Aronian should have seen this. I mean, this is very, very deep. You're never going to be able to see this in a rapid play game. So, okay, what happens? Well, first of all, queen takes rook. This is definitely a mistake because queen c8 check. And now here's the big idea that after the king comes to f7, now we don't check with the rook, but instead queen takes f5 and the king doesn't survive. After this, it's already checkmate. The king can't cross the c-file, of course. That means that after rook takes pawn, we need to look at rook takes rook. So what is the big deal here? Why are you giving up a whole rook? Well, now queen d8 check. That rook was covering the d-file. So the king has to step up. Now, queen check. The king's going to come here. Well, better to play the rook check first. The king steps up. And now rook e7. And this leaves black uncomfortably placed. He is a whole rook up still, but watch out. So first of all, queen c6 looks sensible. Covers e8. Looks down here. But actually queen g8 causes enormous problems. threatening to break through here, which would be decisive. So first of all, e3 check and king h3. Well, black still has to do something about this pawn, so the queen comes back to f6. Now the e8 square is unprotected, so queen e8. The king has to move to the side. Well, you can play the knight back, but it's white would play the same move. Rook e6. This is the point of checking here. We can play rook to e6, winning black's queen. And now black, in spite of being a rook up, black has to be extremely careful here. For example, if pawn takes pawn, that allows this bishop to cut back. Bishop d2 check, and well, black's king is not going to survive that. What about queen takes rook? Well, we take, the knight blocks, and queen takes rook. That rook is loose at the side of the board, so white should win that one. So in fact, black should give up rook for bishop, and now actually the game is going to end in a draw after this. White takes the queen, takes the rook, and now here actually best for both sides is this continuation. Black gets a queen, and now the game will end in perpetual check. After this, notice that black can't interpose with a knight because we remove the queen. So, an absolutely mad variation. Let's just go through that again. So we were looking at queen c7, and then this crazy move, rook takes b3. Really interesting stuff. Instead, Aronian played another very, very tricky move. So he obviously sensed that there might be a possibility to attack black's king. So he didn't see queen c7. Well, I understand why not, but he played rook takes knight. Okay, Carlsen takes that, so now looks like he's doing extremely well. So queen a8 check. Checks the king. Black cannot interpose on any of those squares. The king has to step up. And queen f8 check. So the king goes to g6. Well, let me see if this one, yeah, we can take the queen if we want to, but I think it's better to do this. Check here, and yes, that is checkmate. That's a nice checkmate. So the king has to step up in front of the pawns, but normally this should be okay because in a sense it's a common scenario. Well, we've just seen one variation where this happened, but here, remember, Aronian is only attacking with queen and bishop, so when the king steps up, it should have enough cover in front of these pawns. But let's see. Aronian now produces another remarkable move. At the moment, black's queen is able to cover here. So it looks like white has nothing. But Aronian plays rook c1. So he offers the rook. Now if the queen steps away, you've got to be very careful. That rook could enter the game. Well, we've already seen how potentially dangerous that is. So Carlsen has to take that rook. So now he's got queen and two rooks against queen and bishop. But the queen is out of action just for a moment. So that gives white's queen a chance to check. And queen e6 check. Okay, well, I'm going to throw it over to you. Maybe you want to pause the video and ask yourself, how should black defend in this position? Remember, you've got very little time also to contemplate your next move. So a very tricky situation. Right, well, let's have a look at king g5 first. Not good. Now the bishop enters the game. Not clever. Okay, so instead, king h5. What happens there? Queen f7 check. So if the king goes back to h6, well, queen e6 check again. So g6. In fact, black is winning this position. Because that queen, which was way out of the game on c1, comes back in the nick of time to cover the king. And now the queen goes away. In fact, black takes over the attack. Threat, queen h3 check and rook d1. And after h4, stopping queen h3, just b2. That's just too much for white to bear. In fact, black's king is perfectly safe on g4. So what are the other options there? Well, white really hasn't got any other options. So queen e6, king h5 is actually winning for black. But instead, Carlsen played what he thought was a safer move, g6. But he overlooked after bishop check here that white has a winning move. Queen e7. This is a killer, threatening not only queen h7 check, but also queen h4 mate. And here Carlsen had to resign, an absolute shocker. So for example, queen g5, queen here, and queen h3 mate, or g5 check. Well, queen h3 or h3, you choose which. Or if h6, stopping queen h7, but then, yeah, I think that's my favourite of them, actually. Queen h4, checkmate. Wow. So Carlsen is fallible. Well, he did end up winning the match pretty convincingly in the end. After this first rapid, he fought back extremely well and, yeah, won the match convincingly. But still, Carlsen said afterwards that, well, it was obvious that he wasn't in the best form at the moment. But he'll be back in action at the Vikonseiton, the Tata Steel tournament in the Netherlands after Christmas, well, in January. So we look forward to that. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And if you want to support us, check out the links to PayPal or patreon.com/PowerPlayChess. Thanks for watching.